I have been seeing these aura nails everywhere, but everyone's doing it with gels. I wanted to see if I could do it with only dip powders. What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail obsessed DIYer. Today we are doing these gorgeous aura nails. I wanted to use a bright pink that wasn't super bright, and then a really, really bright orange. The pink I'm using is called Pink on Wednesdays, and it looks a lot more bright once it's brushed off. And then the orange that I'm using is called A Goldfish. They're both from OG Dip Powder. And I wanted to jump right in on my thumb to test out like how exactly it would work. So I feel like my thumb is always my thumb is always my tester for when I'm trying some new nail art. I just like go for it on my thumb and figure out if it doesn't look that great, it's my thumb. I'll just kind of, tuck it on the side and you won't really see it in pictures. So I tried dipping my entire nail in the pink powder and then scrubbing in the orange. When I scrubbed in the orange, it was working, but it wasn't as pigmented as I would like it to be. And I thought, okay, for the second layer, I'm gonna do some tapping. I applied the orange first, tapped it right in the center, and then tapped the pink all around that. I used a really, really small eyeshadow brush. I think it's from Wet n Wild, and I got it specifically just to do these aura nails. I either got it on Amazon or Walmart. I'll make sure I link the one on Amazon because I found it there too. It's really tiny, and I thought if I'm going to be doing these aura nails, I need something that I can scrub in that's going to keep it in like a really small area. I mean, luckily for me, my hands are pretty big, so I have a lot of, even when my nails are short, I still have a lot of real estate to work with on my nail plate. So once I did that second layer, I made sure I brushed off in between my first layer and my second layer. This way I could see like how the ombre was turning out, because you're basically just ombreing your nails. So I know how to ombre, but I've never tried doing one like this that's like an aura type vibe that everybody's calling it. Once I got to my pointer finger, I want to try something a little bit different. I did not want to scrub in the orange on the first layer, so I went in and tapped the orange first on the first layer and then tap the pink around it to make sure that the orange would get really pigmented right from the start. I learned this from doing my ombre the other week when I was working with one. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use all the things that I remember about, that I know about ombres, and try to do it with this mani since I haven't done one of these aura type manis. So first layer I tapped the orange first to make sure it really popped, and then once I brushed that off, I decided to go with the pink first on the second layer, because something that I've learned from doing ombres is you always want to switch colors back and forth. It really helps to get the blend a lot nicer to get that actual ombre effect. So I went in with the pink, tapping that first, and then just tapped a little bit of the orange in the center. Since on that first layer that I did, the orange was really like in a pretty generous area on the center of my nail. Then I went in and scrubbed the pink all around where the pink was, just around the edges, because like it's almost like a, I don't know if you want to call it, some people call it aura, it almost looks like a circle ombre, whatever you want to call it. I absolutely ended up loving the look, and I've only, like I said, I've only seen it done with gels. I'm like, there has to be a way to do this with dip liquids and still get it to turn out to be just as beautiful as everybody doing it with gels. And I have seen it with nail polish too, where people use a sponge and just like paint little circles almost on the nail polish, but I don't really use nail polish, so I was determined to find a way to do this with dip powders. As each nail went on, I felt like I was getting a little bit more comfortable with this type of ombre. Something that I definitely noticed that I was doing, that if I do one of these aura nails again, which I really want to with some different colors, like in the fall, oh my gosh, for Halloween, I am definitely doing one of these aura ones and making it all like dark and stuff. When you're doing these aura nails, be really careful when you're tapping the middle color that you want in your center, because depending on which way you turn your finger and how heavy-handed you are, you can end up tapping a little bit too much on the sides of your nails, so it looks less of a circular type aura ombre and it just splashes too much the sides, which is why I ended up having to scrub in the pink a little bit more to make sure that the orange wasn't blending too far to the sides. And using a really small eyeshadow brush definitely is going to be something that's going to help you when you want to try these to keep a majority of the powder in the center. I would probably even next time go with an even smaller eyeshadow brush. I know there's really tiny ones just to get it in the center of your nail. Like if you have really small nails and you want to do this, really short nails, you totally could just get a very, very small eyeshadow brush and do that for the center color. And I would say if you're using dip powders, it's going to be easier to do a really bright center color and the lighter color on the outsides. Or if you're, if you want to use darker colors, I would do a lighter color around the outside and then a darker color in the inside. So maybe that's what I'll do for like Halloween. I'll do like black on the center and I don't know, like a gray or a red or like a lighter purple, something. Anyways, it's almost August. I can start thinking about Halloween manis already, even though this one is like super bright summer mani. When I did the second layer on each of these nails, I made sure that I scrubbed in both the pink and the orange. On the first layer, I just scrubbed in the pink to make sure that the pink was popping enough. And then on the second layer, I scrubbed both colors in because that seemed to help the ombre aura blend look that I was going for. That seemed to give it the best blended look around the edges, so it wasn't just like a circle of orange in the middle of the pink. And I definitely think that doing 2 layers is key. 1 layer with dip powders just is not enough. You don't get enough of that blended color. It looked too not ombre enough. It didn't blend well enough. Doing it the way I did it on my pointer through pinky worked a lot better than what I did on my thumb. I would not recommend scrubbing it in right away, right off the bat. At least if you're doing like this, a pink and an orange like I did, it just looks much more blended and much more natural on my pointer through pinky compared to my thumb. Even though from a distance it still looks like a beautiful aura, the blend just looks so much better on my pointer through pinky, doing it tapping first and then doing some extra scrubbing in to make sure that the colors are really popping. If you're watching this and you're like, Nicole, I am nowhere near ready to start doing ombres, I am still on the basic dip application, then don't worry, I got you. My Dip Nails 101 guide has everything you need from start to finish, from prep to removal, of how to dip your nails. And it's going to go through apex, it's going to go through the proper steps to do your prep, everything you're going to need. I'll make sure I link that in the description and the first pinned comment. Now back to this gorgeous mani. Once I finished the 2 layers on each nail, I went back in with the orange and the pink and did any scrubbing that I felt was necessary to make sure that the colors popped to exactly how I wanted them. And then, as I always do, I topped every single nail with clear dip powder. When you're doing ombres, to me, it's extremely important to top your nails with clear dip powder, because once you buff and shape, you could mess up some of that ombre. So you worked so hard to get your ombre to look exactly how you want it. And if you don't top with a perfectly crystal clear, then you could mess up some of that ombre look and it won't look quite as blended if you accidentally buff or file too far down into it. So I always make sure I top with clear, and then you want to activate it really, really well to make sure your activator goes down through all your layers. And I also like to activate the tips of my nails if I'm going to wear my manis for a long time. Even if I'm only going to wear them for a few days, I still like to activate my tips as well. Once your nails are fully hardened from the activator, you can do a little tappy tap on the top of your nails, and if it makes like a hollow clicking sound, then you know they are ready to file and buff and shape. And I like to go in and do my buffing first to see like where I'm at, how thick my nails are. And I noticed I got a little too thick on these, but I still love them. Once you're finished filing and shaping and buffing, then you can spray them or wipe them with isopropyl alcohol. That's to clean off any dust or dirt that you had from your filing and shaping. And then you can go in and do your top coating. Now, since I did these with all dip liquids, I'm going to go in and top coat with my activator and top coat as well. And make sure whatever dip liquids you're using, you follow the instructions for top coating. That is super important. Something that I have learned over the past couple years. All dip liquids are not created equal, okay? You can do something that works really well for one set of dip liquids with timing, and if you use another brand's dip liquids, your timing could be totally off, and they could go from being really shiny to really a mess. So make sure you pay attention to the top coat timing for whatever liquids you're using, and I always float my brush over my top coat brush no matter what brand I'm using. If you love doing ombre nails, but you're not quite ready for these aura ones, then make sure you check out this next video where I go over a very easy ombre. Thanks so much for joining me today, nail crew.